Thank you for the availability of the Girmit Center for us to meet together this afternoon as part of my visit to the West. It was originally planned to be a visit to the civil servants and to encourage them as they continue to serve the country and people. But I'm also very glad that opportunities have come up for me to meet with the local communities and their leaders. And I'm here once again in Girmit Center. Very historic place because of what it represents and the significance of the various communities that are looked after here in our history, the significant contribution to our history and our present day life. I hope those of you that observed the Shera would have had a good festival, and those who are looking forward to Diwali also have a very good Diwali festival. Those observing, is it still going, Professor? The big month of fasting still going on, or finished? Not done, okay. Whoever is fasting, I hope you are bearing up with. I'm not. We finished yesterday. I've come here today to honor the descendants of Girmitiers. I'm very glad and proud that after some time we have had the celebration of their great achievements and those of their descendants celebrated this year. I'm here in response to your very kind invitation. As the Prime Minister of Fiji, as you know, I'm dedicated to the welfare of all Fijians. Including the descendants of the first people who came to our shores and those of many minority groups. Since the arrival of the Girmitiers, we've had other waves of citizens who come from other countries in the world to enrich our citizenry and contribute richly to what we are today. This independent republic we enjoy today has emerged from the unique collection and contributions of the various cultures and communities in Fiji prior to 1970 and ever since 1970. And it's still growing. I've just visited Lautoka Hospital, where a team of very skilled professionals, medical professionals from India are here. They look very happy. I do not know whether they'll go back or not. If they go back, we're poorer. If they stay, we're richer. But they will probably be poorer for leaving their relatives behind in India. Nearly 1 year ago, our multiracial coalition government took the helm of leadership in our country. And we put it on a course which we hoped and we developed policies for, to take Fiji on a peaceful and harmonious journey over a long period. I know we are a multi-party, we are multiracial, we are multi-ethnic group here, and I think some people would like us to continue for longer. Some are probably praying that we don't go for too long. But we're here to stay for the time being, and we're doing everything we can to serve the people and also keep our unity intact as we govern this great nation of ours. While we enjoy this time in Fiji, we remember those who are going through conflicts, warfare, and very troublesome times in their own areas. We pray for them, we pray for peace, and pray for ending of hostilities and the restoration of stability and harmony in the area. At this time, I ask you to bear with me as I outline some of the milestones that mark our short period in power. In December, we will be celebrating our first anniversary as the government of Fiji. I have some notes on what we have done so far. Some of you may have already voiced your concerns about how little we have done. But I tell you, in all honesty, we have tried to do our best to satisfy your wishes, your dreams, and our plans. And that's not been easy. You will know, or you will recall, one of our earliest actions was to allocate $50 million to help with the parents and guardians whose children were going back to school at the beginning of the school year. We provided $200 to every student from preschool to Form 7 from families earning less than $50,000 annually. More than 214,000 students received $200 allowances before school opened this year, although some well into the first term were still sending emails to our offices, the various ministers and the Ministry of Education, asking when they would get theirs. Those emails are gone, they have died out. I believe the authorities have caught up with the payments to have gone to the schools. For the first time in our history, we declared a national holiday to commemorate the arrival of the Girmit years. It will now be an annual event for as long as we, the coalition government of Fiji, are in power. We revived the yearly celebration to pay tribute to the life and achievements of this year also. We revived the celebration of the achievement of the late Ratu Salala Skuna. To commemorate or to demonstrate our commitment to a new culture of consultation across the community, we organized a very successful National Economic Summit. The products of that were taken forward to the formulation of our budget. Media freedom was restored as we removed the trappings and apparatus of dictatorship, including governed largely by only a very few. We produced the budget and increased social welfare by $15 and $35 for those over 70 years of age. Why have I not been getting mine for the last 5 years? For those who don't work, $15 and $35 for those over 70 years of age. And I wonder where my life, for the last 5 years, where mine has gone. There was an increase in the budget for health, education, for education and agriculture. The kidney dialysis subsidy also went up. We canceled $650 million worth of tertiary education loans from the TELS felt debt that our young people were carrying. That took away a debt burden of for about 53,000 families, who then had additional income to enjoy and spend. There was a new merit-based scholarship scheme. I'm still answering questions of those who are accusing us of introducing ethnic-based scholarship. That's no longer an item in today's agenda. A change of regulations and laws make it possible for all former Fiji citizens and their descendants to enter and reside in Fiji without an immigration permit. That has strengthened our ties with the worldwide Fijian diaspora of more than 230,000 people. The members of that overseas community are playing an increasingly important and appreciated role in our economy in Fiji. Their remittance to Fiji are expected to surpass $1.5 billion this year. Last year it was $1 billion. In the first 7 months of this year, Australia alone has moved to 365 million as compared to 400 one full year before that. Recently, we announced a task force led by the Ministry of Finance to resolve certain land lease issues in a fair and equitable manner. That task force comprised representatives of the Ministries of Lautoka Affairs, Ministry of Lands, the Ministry of Agriculture and Sugar, and the Ministry of Agriculture, and also the Ministry of Sugar, as well as the Lautoka Land Trust Board. Last week, you will have heard that government approved the highest ever cane price. I don't know whether that's right or wrong. I thought the people were telling me mine was higher. Oh, this is high too. Okay. I'll give you that credit, Honorable Minister. That will encourage will motivate people to produce more from their current acreage, and also probably encourage the landowners to release more acreage for the production of more cane. As we are looking at diversifying the role that the cane agriculture will play in the future of our country. Municipal elections scrapped by the previous government will be restored this year. Next year. Registration and preparation are ongoing now. That is another step to the full restoration of democracy that we lost for a while. I'm pleased to tell you that the economy is growing at a very good rate. It's expected to reach 8% in this financial year. More jobs are being created. Salaries and wages in the last 9 months have been on a rise. Your government has promised to review national minimum wages. Tourism numbers are surging, and there is a new investment in the industry, and there are new investments in the industry. However, we are cautioning hotels to refrain from increasing their room rate because it is important for the industry to remain competitive and affordable. The government has provided many benefits through tax concessions. We also have an expectation that increased profits will make it possible for the industry to give their employees better wages and salaries. We are recording an increase in investment spending, which is good for the economy. There is also more expenditure on consumer goods. In September, that's only last month, the coalition moved on one of the most important motions to come before our parliament. It was for the establishment of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to take our homeland into a new era of unity. And all credit must go to Assistant Minister Hon, who is here with us this afternoon. She asked me whether I wanted to move it, and I said, no, it's your motion, you move it. So thank you. That's it. And it was approved by the House. You will have heard the heated debate that we had. A lot of it had nothing to do with truth and reconciliation. I think everybody wants truth and reconciliation. People were worried about reopening old wounds. So what? If we open old wounds, we're all mature enough to move on. Those of us who are guilty stand up and say, yes, that's true. Those of you who are not, try and find out why they happen, or why those things happen. We move forward, acknowledging that there are still reefs out there, there's still uncharted waters, but we've sailed the same waters before. We know how to negotiate and navigate the future. We know the threats and we avoid them. That can only come out when we honestly enter into the spirit of truth and reconciliation. The terms of reference will soon be drawn up for the selection of members of the Commission. The United Nations will provide technical expertise and funding. We expect to launch a nationwide awareness campaign to encourage all Fijians to respond to the Commission as it comes out to meet the people. My personal experience and what I did in 1987 has given me a deeper insight into the complexities of reconciliation, forgiveness, and apologizing. Forgiveness does not make the other person right. It gives oneself freedom. I make the point that it's natural in a nation as diverse as ours that there will be a sense of its different parts. However, those parts can become one nation. We have the majority in our indigenous community, descendants of the Girmitiers with all their distinct groups. There are citizens of mixed heritage, European, Chinese, Rotuman, Panaban, those with Melanesian origin, people Samoan, Tongan, Tuvalu, and Wallis and Futuna, people descendants, Futuna descendants, as well as Ikiribat, and citizens from other parts of Micronesia and elsewhere, all here in Fiji. We had new arrivals from Greater Europe and other parts of Asia. We all call Fiji home now. All these ethnicities have their own customs and traditions and cultures, and often communicate in their own language among themselves. Fortunately, English is widely spoken and understood in Fiji, so to get on with each other, we revert to English, or even we are street Fijian, or street Topasapavit, or street Hindi. We get on. We may not understand the words, we very easily pick up the sentiment and what is being conveyed. In my view, we should be seeking unity that comes from a greater sense of patriotism. Patriotism as it relates to the nation. Love for all. Love for the nation. devotion to our country. Our citizens will naturally act differently and independently in many ways in accordance with human conditions. At the same time, they can unite with their neighbors or can unite their neighbors, their friends and strangers in support of their homeland. There was no race apparent, no ethnicity apparent when we were cheering for Fiji in our World Cup rugby team. Everybody was there, all wearing the same colors, all waving the same flag. The other supporting teams, they're still out there. The girls are still playing, and the boys are still playing rugby league, and we're behind them. Very soon the South Pacific Games or Pacific Games will open up in the Solomons. Let's get behind our team. If we can get behind our team, we can get behind our nation. We occasionally manage to put our differences aside. We can permanently put our differences aside. And we must ask our government ministries and various departments to pursue unity through their activities. The education, our media, radio and television community events, and Talanoa in our homes and towns and villages. Let us grow this awareness of the need for unity and let us cultivate that unity. The more our communities understand each other, the more they share their stories and their values and their experiences and their dreams, the more that we move towards lasting peace, trust, and tolerance. I believe that. I'm working at it. I'm calling on all of us to work towards that. Thank you very much for coming along this afternoon.